Hello and welcome back to Betting School from the Form Guide. This is Course 8, the Maths of Staking, and in one sense it is the most protective course in the whole series, because staking is where betting stops being a puzzle on paper and starts being able to hurt real people. Here is the roadmap. First, the claim of the course that how much you stake matters more than what you pick. And we prove it by handing 3 punters identical picks and letting staking alone separate profit from ruin. Then level stakes, the professional default, and the reason our receipt is scored the way it is. Then percentage staking, the plan that quietly protects its owner. Then the chasing trap, the double after a lost ladder, walked rung by rung into the wall it always finds. Then the seduction of staking more when you feel confident. Then bankroll thinking what a betting bank actually is and the 3 tests it must pass. Then an honest chapter about the one thing no staking plan can ever do. Recap and home, kettle on. I know, let's begin. Here is a sentence that sounds like exaggeration and is actually just arithmetic. 2 punters can back exactly the same horses at exactly the same prices with exactly the same results. And one finishes the year in profit while the other loses everything. Same picks, different staking. Picking gets all the romance, the form study, the whispers, the shortlist. But a betting ledger is a multiplication to hit result times stake and get the second half wrong. And the first half barely matters. More importantly, the second half is where the damage lives. Nobody was ever harmed by a shortlist. People are harmed by stakes. That is why this course exists and why it carries more warnings than any before it. So let's run the experiment that proves it. 1 season, 200 picks carrying a small, genuine edge. The kind course 3 taught you to hunt for. 3 punters take every single one of those picks at the same prices on the same days. The only thing that differs is the staking plan. Watch what the plans do to identical betting. The level staker puts 1 unit on every pick, no exceptions, and finishes the season on 104. For every 100 units staked, 104 came back. The whole 4% edge collected in full. The gut feel staker takes the same 200 picks but stakes big when confident and small when nervous, and finishes on 93 because the biggest stakes kept landing on the picks that felt safest, and feeling safe, as we will see, is a terrible guide, and the chaser doubles the stake after every loser to win it all back. In October, the same picks throw 7 losers in a row, the doubling ladder outgrows the bank, and the season ends on 0. Identical picks, profit, loss, and ruin. Sit with that picture for a moment because it is the whole course in 3 bars. The picks were genuinely good, a real 4% edge, the rarest thing in betting. Level staking collected it. Gut feel staking turned the same edge into an 11-point loss without a single different selection. And chasing turned it into ruin before the season even finished. The rule underneath, staking can never create an edge, but it can absolutely destroy one. And here it is, the responsible gambling line said early and plainly, ruin is not an exotic outcome reserved for wild gamblers. It is the routine destination of one very common staking habit. And we will walk that habit to its wall in Chapter 5. So which plan do serious operators default to? The dullest one on the menu. Level stakes, the same amount on everything, forever, no matter how loudly a fancy shouts. It looks like a beginner's training wheels plan. It is actually the sharpest audit tool in betting, and it is the reason our receipt is scored exactly the way it is. Level stakes means every selection carries the same 1 unit full stop. 3 virtues make it the default. It is comparable. 50 level stakes bets can be laid beside any other 50. Yours, ours, the tipsters, and the numbers argue on equal terms. It is honest. No clever stake sizing can dress up bad picks. So if the selections lose at level stakes, they lose, and there is nowhere to hide. And it survives variance. A losing run costs a known bounded amount, never a doubling spiral. That is why the receipt on our daily shows is scored to 1 unit level stakes. When we publish the model's record, we want a number nothing is hiding inside. Any tipster who will not show a level stakes record is telling you something. Percentage staking is level stakes' sensible cousin. Instead of a fixed unit, you stake a fixed percentage of your current bank, say 2% recalculated before every bet. Notice what that does in a downswing. As the bank shrinks, the stake shrinks with it automatically without you having to feel disciplined on a bad day. The plan protects its owner. Followed exactly, it can never stake the bank to zero on its own because 2% of something is always something smaller than the whole. The trade-offs are real. Winning runs compound more slowly and the records are muddier to compare, which is why we score the receipt at level stakes, while plenty of sensible bettors run their own money this way. Let's stress test the plans with 20 consecutive losers. And if you take prices around 6 or 7 to 1, a run like that is not a nightmare scenario. It is an appointment. Everyone starts on 100. The level staker, 2 units a bet, loses 40 and stands at 60. Bruised, alive, still on plan. The percentage staker, 2% of whatever remains, loses slightly less with each defeat and stands at 66.8. The stake shrank itself all the way down the slope. And the chaser, doubling from 1 unit, watched rungs of 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 and 32 swallow 63, then put the last of the bank on loser 7, 0. Survival is a staking choice made before the run arrives. Now we walk the chasing trap properly because it deserves its own chapter. It is the oldest staking plan in the world and the most dangerous. The idea seduces everyone once. A loser only means the next winner pays for everything, so double after every loss, and you must come out 1 unit ahead. Let's walk that ladder rung by rung to the wall. 1 unit on an even money shot. It loses 2 units to win it back, +1. Loses 4. Loses 8, loses 16, loses 32, loses. Now read the red bar. 6 losers have cost 63 units and the ladder demands 64 on bet 7, taking total exposure past 120, all to finish 1 single unit ahead. And 6 even money losers in a row is not a freak event. It arrives roughly once in every 64 sequences, which over a betting year means it is simply a date in the diary. 10 in a row, which also happens, demands a stake of 512. Every rung risks more to win the same 1 unit, and somewhere always 1 rung stands taller than the bank. 3 facts make the wall inevitable. Banks are finite, so the ladder always has a last rung. Bookmakers cap stakes, so even a rich chaser meets a ceiling. And losing runs are certain given enough bets. Over a season, the run that beats your ladder is not a risk, it is an appointment. Underneath it all, doubling never changed a single price. Every rung still pays the book's margin, so the plan merely rearranges losses into a shape that feels like winning right up until it isn't. And said plainly, because it matters most here, chasing is not just bad maths, but it is the signature behaviour of gambling harm. The moment losses start dictating stakes is the moment to stop and talk to someone. BigGambleAware.org exists for exactly that moment. Surely, though, it makes sense to stake more when you really fancy one. It feels obvious, and it fails for a reason worth framing. Confidence and accuracy are barely on speaking terms. The picks a punter feels surest about are usually the ones the whole market feels sure about. Short prices, heavy hype, saturated headlines. The exact places course 3 showed you the value has already been squeezed out. So staking more when confident mostly means staking more on overconfidence. Piling the biggest money onto the smallest edges. Remember our gut feel punter from chapter 2. 11 points worse off than level stakes on identical picks. Purely because of where the big stakes sat. The feeling is real. The edge usually isn't. There is a version of stake more when confident that professionals actually use. But the confidence is measured, never felt. They size stakes to edge. The bigger the provable gap between a true chance and the price on offer, the bigger the stake. There is even a famous formula for it, the Kelly criterion, and we will wave at it rather than worship it. For one reason, Kelly demands your edge as an honest number, and it punishes overestimates brutally, which is why even the professionals who trust it stake only a fraction of what it suggests. The takeaway is conceptual, not algebraic. Stake size should follow measurement, not mood. And if your edge is not measured, level stakes is the measurement-free best answer. Every plan in this course assumes something we have not yet defined, a bank. A betting bank is not simply some money. It is money that can go to zero, all of it, permanently, without changing anything about your life. 3 tests, and it must pass all 3. Separated, it lives in its own pot, never mingled with the current account, so a bad month cannot quietly borrow from a good life. Affordable, it is never the rent, never the bills, never savings with a job to do. Counted, you know its exact size tonight, and every stake is a known fraction of it. And the hard corollary said kindly, if no money in your life passes those tests right now, then no stake is the right stake. That is not failure, that is the maths protecting you. Here is a household's money drawn to scale because scale is the whole lesson. 55% bills and essentials, untouchable. 25% savings with a job to do. The deposit, the boiler, the rainy day, also untouchable. 18% living and food, family, fun. And there at the bottom, the gold bar. The betting bank, 2%. Small enough that if it vanished tomorrow, and any betting bank can vanish, nothing else in the picture would even notice. That is what affordable actually means. Not I could probably cover it, but its disappearance changes nothing. And if the honest number for that bottom bar in your household is 0%, then 0 is a perfectly good number and the shows are free. And so to the honest chapter, the one every betting school course carries. After 7 chapters of staking plans, you might reasonably hope that the right plan, followed with iron discipline, can make a betting operation profitable all by itself. Here is the truth, and it takes 1 sentence. It cannot. Let's be precise about why. Expected value passes straight through every staking plan untouched. If each bet expects minus 5 pence per pound, the ordinary price of the margin from course 2, then every possible arrangement of stakes expects minus 5% of whatever passes through the till. Level stakes loses it steadily. Percentage staking loses it gently. Martingale loses it suddenly. Bigger stakes only by bigger losses. No shuffle of stake sizes ever flips the sign. What staking really manages is variance, how bumpy the road is, and whether you survive the bumps. Value from course 3 is what decides the destination. Edge first, staking second. Staking without an edge is just choosing the scenery on the way to the same place. Both matter. Only one creates profit. Let's carve it in stone. Staking matters more than picking. 3 punters shared 1 shortlist and finished in profit, in loss and in ruin. Level stakes is the professional default because it is comparable, honest and survivable. And it is how our receipt is scored, so nothing can hide inside the number. Percentage staking shrinks the stake as the bank shrinks the plan that protects its owner automatically all the way down to 66.8, where the level staker stood on 60. Chasing walks a doubling ladder 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Until 6 losers leave you 63 units down, betting ever bigger to win 1, and the wall is never optional. Confidence is not an edge. Professionals stake to measured gaps, and Kelly punishes anyone who guesses. A bank is money that can vanish entirely. Separated, affordable, counted, and no staking plan flips a negative expectation. Value creates the profit. Staking decides whether you survive long enough to collect it. And that completes course 8. You can now do something most punters never learn. Separate the 2 jobs. You can explain why level stakes is the honest yardstick and why our receipt swears by it. Why a percentage stake protects its owner on the way down. Why the chasing ladder always finds a wall. And why a strong fancy is not a staking plan. Next time we take these tools to the bookmaker's favourite product, accumulators, the honest truth, where small margins multiply into big ones and the maths gets genuinely eye-opening. Subscribe so it lands in your feed, and the daily shows 7, midday, 4 and 10 will keep your eye in between courses. Now the serious bit, and in this course of all courses, it is the whole point. Everything in betting school is education and opinion only. Never financial advice and never an instruction to bet. Staking is where betting hurts people, and chasing is where it hurts them fastest. If losses have ever started deciding your stakes, treat that as the clear signal it is and step away. Betting is for adults aged 18 and over, only ever with money that passes the 3 tests we set today. And if no money in your life passes them, watching with us is free, and the puzzle is the best part anyway. If it stops being fun or starts to feel like a need, talk to someone. That is begambleaware.org. Thank you for studying with me. See you in course 9.